Hi, welcome back to Women of the Wild podcast. This is your host, Felicia Marie, and we are here today with Ashley Fogg from Texas. Hi, Ashley. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. So you are a mother, a true-hearted Texan. I followed you for a while, and you do so much in the exotic world. I would love to dive into a little bit about like who you are, what your upbringing was, and how you got to where you are today.
Who I am wise. I am a single mom, two kids. Actually, I do have a boyfriend now. I'm a hunting guide. I've been guiding hunts for about 15 years. I mostly do high fence exotic hunts, low fence whitetail. I've guided a couple hunts in Colorado and a few caribou hunts in Alaska, but the majority of it is going to be the exotic species, all the African species. Do a lot of axis hunts as well, but I've been doing it for about 15 years. I got my first access 15 years ago and I absolutely loved it. And the guide kind of took me under his wing. He was actually 83 years old. I started guiding with him a month after my first access hunt and I just never stopped.
That's incredible. Like what a way to start. So that first axis hunt just drove such a deep passion in you that you were like, this is what I want to make a living out of.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could necessarily make a living off of being a hunting guide, but I
Mhm.
love it so much that I'm willing to lose some of my normal income to go do that. Especially when
That's
it's a kid's first time getting an animal. That's the most enjoyable thing for me in the world is getting a kid their first animal.
Oh, absolutely. Especially as a mother, I think that we just have that nurturing nature that seeing a kid spark up for the first time for their first harvest is there's nothing like it. It's one of the most incredible feelings in the world. And now to the final segment to this week's episode of Women of the Wild podcast. We will conclude this segment by thanking our closing sponsors. Stay tuned for more of this week's episode after this short word from our sponsors. Muzzy Pheasant Farms, a mid-Michigan family-owned and operated pheasant game preserve that is open year-round. Muzzy offers educational courses and hunts. They are family-oriented, creating a great opportunity for new and seasoned upland hunters. With no membership required, come hunt with Muzzy Pheasant Farms. You can find more information at muzzypheasantfarms.com or check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Blast and Cast Guide Service is a veteran-owned and operated Michigan-based guide service for the Great Lakes. With decades of experience of fishing and waterfowl, they ensure a safe and enjoyable trip every time. You can check them out at blastandcastguideservice.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Ultimate Veteran Adventures. UVA offers outdoor therapy, recreation, and camaraderie through hunting and fishing adventures around the country for veterans, active duty military, Gold Star families, and first responders. You can find them at Ultimate Veteran Adventures. You can find them at ultimateveteranadventures.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Sawmill Creek Bait and Lures, a husband and wife owned and operated company, the home of the C4, one of the best trapping canine lures on the market. You can find them at sawmillcreekbaitandlures.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Wicked 7 Outdoors, a Southwest Texas outfitter guide service with an exceptional care and quality of backcountry mountain hunts for free-range aoudad. Also offering high fence and low fence exotics, come immerse yourself in the outdoor experience. You can find Wicked 7 Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram. Misguided Outdoors is a female-driven Michigan-based guide service offering turkey and waterfowl hunts. Misguided is focused on educating women and youth, providing a hands-on hunt experience for all ages. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. We thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. So can I ask, what is your favorite animal that you've ever harvested or hunting experience? You don't even have to have harvested anything.
My favorite animal that I harvested was my gemsbok. I got a gemsbok last year, and it's been on my bucket list for a long time. And one of my return hunters, I've been hunting with him for, I think, 7 years now. He actually surprised me with my own hunt. So he made it seem like he was coming down for a hunt. He made it seem like he was, putting a deposit down on his animal, and come to find out he was getting me a gemsbok.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is one of the only animals that I've harvested where I bawled my eyes out like a baby. They're absolutely gorgeous animals.
Yes, yes. Gemsbok they're very unique. You know what, Ashley? Do you want to explain what they look like? Because I could go on for them for days. They're one of my favorites too.
They are gray and black. They've got horns that kind of come straight back. They don't have a spiral to them, but they've got the knobs on them. I work with them on a live scale basis daily, and they are extremely dangerous animals. I mean, lions don't mess with them, so that tells you something. So I have that much more respect for those animals because I deal with them alive, and I know how dangerous they can be. But they're beautiful. They have black stripes going down their face, kind of looks like a raccoon mask going down their face. They are soft. They're super soft, almost like a rabbit.
Yeah, they're incredible animals. And a lot of people don't know this, that the males, with the males and the females, both the female and the male have horns, but the males are a wider base where the females are typically skinnier, but they're a lot longer. So that's,
Yes.
The gemsbok, especially a nice bull. I like the big base to a horn, but that's what I've been chasing for the last 2 years in Africa. And one of our clients, we were presented with a beautiful old 12-year-old gemsbok, and he infiltrated his way into a bunch of impala. And my guide knew that was what I was after. But when I heard that one of our clients wanted it, I was like, nope, if she wants it, it's hers. And she ended up shooting him, and she absolutely loved him. But just to see him on the ground and absolutely stunning creatures, they're almost this silvery gray color. Like you said, the big predominant black stripes that run parallel to each other down its face. And then that bright white with that silver that comes back in. They're a very unique animal. There's nothing that looks like them. You have the scimitar and things like that look similar to them, that have that little bit of a curve to them. But any type of oryx, there's nothing else out there that looks like them.
No, they're absolutely majestic. I call them the African panda.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna use that. I love it. They are, and they're fast. A lot of people don't realize that as well. They're a very hard animal to hunt. They can run extremely fast. I call them the silver bullet, because every time that I've gone to hunt a gemsbok and I've left without one, and they just have seemed to elude me every time. So it grew a very big respect for those animals to me for that. Is I'm okay with not harvesting it. It's more the experience. And like this year, we had a herd of, I want to say it was like 6 or 8 of them. And it was mostly cows and young bulls, but they were literally running for, gosh, I don't even know how many miles alongside the truck. And we were just trying to catch up with them to where they would stop. And I mean, we were going as fast as what we safely could in the safari truck, and we were losing them. Like they run fast.
They are incredibly fast.
Oh, that's amazing that you got to do that. And how awesome is that of your client to do something like that for you? Just another testament of like who you are as a person, as a guide, that your clients adore you enough to do something like that. That's amazing.
It is. That's actually how I got my black bear too. I got my black bear in North Carolina 2 years ago. And the gentleman that brought me out there is one of my return hunters. I've known him for a while now. He had me drive up to North Carolina with some other friends of his, and I was able to harvest a beautiful, beautiful black bear. And that was a really neat experience too. That definitely was on my bucket list, and I got to cross it off thanks to him. I normally am the one taking everybody else out to hunt, and I don't have a problem with that. I get to have that same experience they do, and I'm just as happy as they are when they get to harvest that animal. So when I do actually get to go out and hunt, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people realize that about outfitters or guides is you do it because you have a love and a passion for it. I guide here in Michigan for waterfowl and turkey, and for for me, for any guide that I've spoken with, it's that I've said it. I almost feel selfish sometimes because I feel like sometimes I'm more excited than the client. It truly
Yeah.
doesn't matter to pull the trigger. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
so excited for that person to have that experience. Or, as a guide, you talk to your clients before they come out with you, and you get to know them on a personal level, and what they want, what they expect. And then when they get there and everything turns out to be exactly what they wanted, and they have this amazing time, and then you get to share that experience with them, it's so meaningful to us that I think that people don't realize how enjoyable it is for guides to experience that alongside with you.
Yeah, it's almost like a rush. And it never slows down. It never changes. It's every single time you get that excitement and that happiness when you got to help someone else harvest that animal.
Oh, absolutely. It is, every time is like the first time. So, yeah, I love everything that you're doing. And I think what you're doing with the kids is beyond words for me. You really threw me off with this one, because it's something that's very near and dear to my heart, and obviously yours as well. And I think a lot of times as a mom, you can't help but have that nurturing aspect. And I want to commend you for that, like tenfold what you're doing and what you continue to do, because we don't have people enough in the outdoors doing what you're doing. And
No, and
I
more
would,
so
sorry.
more so female.
Yes. And I think there's a trust aspect there too. When you're getting that type of a service from a woman, women are more comfortable with a female guide. Children seem to be more comfortable with a female guide. And it's not
Yes.
anything against men. It's not. I'm not some He-Man woman hater kind of person of like
Yeah. I'm
it
not
it
either. Not at all.
it really is something different with a woman. And I don't know if it's that nurturing nature, if it's, maybe the tone of our voice or the way that we address things, or because there's men out there that do a great job, but typically it's not as intimidating to learn from a woman. And we hear that a lot, and we try the best that we can. There's just not enough female guides. That's actually how I became a guide, is because
Right.
there weren't female guides. There's not even female hunters. So if I'm going to own a company and run a company for getting women in the outdoors, I need to be able to provide that experience and education from a non-threatening standpoint. So I dug deep and just learned how to do it. and learned everything I could and absorbed any information that I could. And I surround myself with a lot of other guides that if I ever have a question, I'll admit, like, I'm not always the best suited person for this. I'm that jack of all trades, master of none. But I scout 365 days a year, and I work my tail off, and I educate myself, if nothing else, to be able to provide that education as someone who's like non-threatening to women, to children. And if you call me and I'm available, like at the drop of a hat, I am out the door and coming to help with an event. And a lot of times my kids come for that same reason your kids are going out there, is because it's a comfortable aspect for a child to learn when they have other children that same age there with them. They don't feel so singled out. So I think that that's great, all in itself, of everything that you're doing, and like the full circle of like getting them comfortable with that firearm, making sure that they're learning about that animal, making sure that they're getting out there, that they're being safe, that they're enjoying their time, but also making that connection and then following through and getting them back out again. Like those, that's, we need more people like you. We really do.
I think we do too. I wish there was 20 of me getting kids out.
But you know what? The lives that you're affecting through what you're doing, every single one of them matter. And it's hard because, like, for me personally, I'm sure you can relate to this. You never feel like it's enough, right? Like, I took 10 kids out this month, but I should have taken 12. Like, I wish I could have taken a few more. Or you always just wish that you, like you said, had another set of hands, or I don't know, start splitting DNA or something here and make more of you and clone you, because it's people like you that are pushing these kids, and you're never going to hit the demographic to be able to help everyone. So the fact that you're out there.
I'm actually looking into hiring more female guides and training them, or if they've got the experience working with them. So if anybody is interested in guiding, I'm looking to specifically hire more female guides so that we can get more kids out there and do more stuff with the kids.
I absolutely love that. And it's a great aspect to have that mindset of, this is what's working, this is what we need to do, and providing that education so it can keep growing and going and providing more opportunities to people. So Ashley, I love speaking with you today, because it's a big passion of ours at Women of the Wild. Is, you know, we have that saying of, you take a man hunting, you've taken a man hunting. You take a woman hunting, and you've now introduced her entire life, like her kids, her spouse, her friends. As women, we get excited and we want to share that experience with others. And to see these women come out and take their husbands or take their kids, it's a really big piece to us. But we also try really hard to involve the children, because everything that we're fighting for. Sorry.
My grandfather told me once, he said, if you take a man hunting, you take a man hunting. But if you take a woman hunting, you're taking her entire family for generations to come hunting.
Yes, that is the exact epitome of that, of this is what we're doing. This is why we do it, is because he was absolutely correct. You've changed generations once you've taken a female hunting.
Right. And I've got to see that firsthand with some of the women I've taken hunting, and some of the, kids I've taken hunting as well. So it's neat to see it. I've been doing it long enough now to where I can watch the turnaround, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. You plant that seed and you get to watch it grow, and it starts with a woman or even a child. And as they grow, they have kids, and you get to watch them grow. And it's a repeating cycle of watching this, like, step by step, continue to grow. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling when it comes back to you. It's an absolute amazing feeling.
Yes. I just have to say, I love what you're doing. And I hope that our listeners out there, I hope any women out there that are wanting to get into something like this or get involved, even just volunteers, in some of the ranch work that I've done, sometimes they need volunteers with cooks or helping with skinning animals, or if you're savvy with a bow or anything like that, or even firearms, and you want to lend a hand, you don't necessarily have to be a guide or want to be a guide. If there's a want or a need to help with stuff like this. And I know that there's a couple women's organizations down in Texas that advocate that same mission that we have. So I'll be sure to spread that word along, and help any way that I can. Or, I mean, shoot, if you ever have a hunt that you want to put together and we can get a group of women, or even like a mommy and me style hunt together, that's the absolute goal for everything that we stand for, is to do things like what you're doing.
Yeah, I completely agree with what y'all are doing. I think we're all on the same team here.
Yes. That's a big part of all this too, is people need to realize, like, in the outdoor industry, coming together, when you have that same mission, you have that same passion. Um, Jennifer, from Prois over in Wisconsin, actually told me this years ago on a pheasant hunt. She made a comment about, like, we need to stop stifling each other's fires and glow brighter together. And that has stuck with me since the day she said that. So for a couple of years now, that has been one of my big mottos, is like, we glow brighter together. That if women are out there and we're in the outdoors and we're doing these things, we're doing it because we love it, because we have a passion for it, and we want to see others succeed. And teaming together with other like-minded women or companies or organizations that have that same mission and passion, it doesn't have to be a competition. We can be in this together.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never taken a hunting aspect and looked at it as competition ever. I'm in it for everybody else. I'm not here to compete with anybody.
I've always said the only person I'm competing with is who I was yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah. Myself. That's it.
Yes. And it's great. It's just great. Everything that you're doing is, you live such an exciting life. Like, being able to see the amount of exotics that you see, being able to guide the things that you've guided, and even the trapping aspect, which was also something I knew that you did it, but I didn't know to the extent of guiding and trapping and everything that you do. So it's really great, because you're not a big burly woman either. So for our listeners that can't see
No,
you, or
I'm not.
maybe don't follow you yet, you're a tiny framed woman, and you are out there just crushing the outdoor world.
I'm 120 pounds soaking wet.
I'm right there with you, and it's very refreshing to see and hear other like-minded women that are going out there, that have the grit and are just ripping it up and holding their own. And to be able to be 120 pounds and pull a deer in and skin it and quarter it and process it yourself is a pretty big defeat for even most men. So the fact that you're a 120-pound female, it's like, hats off, because that's also what we need more of, is these women with grit who are willing to get in there, get their hands dirty, and educate others.
Right. I agree with that 100%.
Well,
I'm,
Ashley, we are. I'm sorry.
I wasn't kidding when I said earlier, my daughter, she's 14. She can skin a deer faster than I can. I wasn't kidding. And she's my size as well. So,
You know, and in the few ranches down in Texas that I've helped with, that is one thing that I've noticed, is the the females seem to be quicker and a little bit more precise on their skinning capabilities, not knocking any men or anything, but I have noticed that with a couple of women that I've hunted with, that they can skin, and skin very well quickly. And I don't know if it's because we just have like an eye for it, knack for it, or what it is, but it's funny that you say that, because that's one thing that I've been noticing, is a lot more girls that are getting into hunting are really good at it.
right. That's one of my favorite things. When the kids come out after we do the gun safety and after we get their animal, is teaching the kids how to cape their animal out. And that's a big part of it. And I think they respect it more when you go through teaching them how to cape that animal out. And I get them completely involved. I've never had a kid just stand there and watch me do it. I mean, it might take me a little bit to get them involved, but no matter what, I do my absolute best to make sure that they're involved in the entire process. And I think they have more respect for it. Once they do, they can go home and say, "Hey, Mom, I cut up those steaks."
Yeah, that self-pride.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for our listeners, because you take so many children out? Do you have any tips for our listeners who maybe their kids, or maybe one of their friends' kids, that they want to start taking, for them to be able to, when you have a kid that's a little bit more standoff, what are some of the tips that or tricks that you use to get those kids more involved?
It depends why they're standoffish. I've had kids that were standoffish because they were afraid of the noise from a firearm. So I made sure that they had the proper ear gear, and I will fire the firearm in front of them with that proper ear gear over and over again until they're like, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. If they're standoffish about the blood and the guts part, I dive right into it and show them, it's not that bad. It just really depends on why they're standoffish. A lot of parents don't take their kids hunting because they can't afford to. They can't afford a lease. They can't afford to go out and purchase an exotic animal. And of course, I can't get them all. I would love to get them all, but there's people out there like me that will get your kid out there. You might be on a list for a little while, but I will do it, whether it be a hog or a white-tailed doe. I tell a lot of moms that I've met, there's no excuse. If your kid has a passion for the outdoors, make it happen, because you rather have them have that passion than something else. So motivate them. If they have a passion for the outdoors, tell them to put a post on Facebook that says, I'm looking for somewhere to shoot a hog or a doe or something like that. And there's a lot of ranchers that'll reach out to people and say, hey, you can come out to my house and shoot a doe, or I'll reach out to them and I'll make it happen. There's no excuse for it not to happen. We can, with me and you and everybody else in the industry that's trying to get kids outside, we can make it happen.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. Beyond words can say of how important it is that if you have a kid at any point that expresses a want or desire to be outdoors, feed it. Let it feed it the best that you can, because what this could turn to if they don't, give them that outlet, give them that experience. And it's such a, like we talked about previously, it's such a healthy experience for them to go do, and they're learning to be self-sustainable. So if you can provide that to a kid and grow that, like we said earlier, plant that seed, you should be doing it. And even if you don't, say you're in a state and you don't have, you're like, wow, this podcast sounds great, I would love to take my kid to do this, but I live in, Tennessee, we don't have a lot of high fence ranches or things like that. There's still other outlets and resources. And I definitely, want to let our listeners know that, we're a Michigan-based company. We do travel all over the United States and internationally. But there's a ton of women's groups out there that have this same mission, that don't be afraid to reach out to someone like myself or like Ashley, because we may not be in your area, but we might know somebody that can help. So if you're not a hunter
I've got
yet,
hunters from
sorry.
I've got hunters from all over the United States and all over the world. So there's and all of my hunters are kind of in the same mission that we are together. So if someone was to call me and say, I'm from Iowa, I'd like to get my son a white-tailed doe, I guarantee you that through our network, we can make it happen. We can get your kid outside.
Yes. Yes. And it doesn't matter if it's a deer, if it's a squirrel hunt, a duck hunt, like it doesn't matter if it's fishing, like we do trapping events, like just anything that's out there to get that seed planted and to get that curious mind rolling with being in the outdoors. Let it start somewhere. Talk to your kid, see what they want to do, and start with that, and just let it flourish and let them do a lot of that speaking to you of what they want to do next. Or, you might have a kid who has never hunted and they come to you and they're like, I want to hunt, but my first thing, I want a lion. That's not going to happen. So having that realistic conversation with them is a big thing too, because sometimes one of the things that I have learned with working with children is sometimes there is that, if there's the maturity's not there can be unrealistic expectations, and explaining to them what we're doing, why we're doing it. And maybe like, listen, I know this is what you want, but this is where we're going to start with, and we're going to work our way to that. Have those conversations and be honest, and kind of lay out that floor plan for them of what this season is going to entail for them, I think is really important with children as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Well, Ashley, it has been amazing talking with you. And I'm going to be picking your brain more, because I learned so much about you from this podcast that I would love to team up and do something together with Women of the Wild with you. And I'm a frequent flyer down to Texas, so I'll have to connect with you and we'll have to go get lunch or something one of these times, or I don't know, just come hug a zebra in your living room, I guess.
I can make that happen.
That's I saw that on Facebook the other day that you were driving with one in your back seat, and I'm like, no way.
Yeah, it was funny too because she actually had a vet appointment. I had to take her to the vet for just a checkup, and I cracked the window, and she was sticking her face like not completely out the window, but people saw her, and I ended up having to roll the window up because I thought somebody was going to wreck trying to stare at the zebra.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine, like, for most people though, when you're not used to seeing exotics, be driving down the road and you're gonna expect a dog to hang its head out the window and it's a zebra, like, you probably just made somebody's
Yeah,
day.
yeah, I can understand the shock.
That's really just amazing. So I know that we're coming to the end of the podcast. Do you want to share where people can find you, whether it be any social media platforms or how people can connect with you, or even reach out to you if they want a guided hunt or if they're interested in, becoming a female guide with you?
The best way to get a hold of me is honestly my cell phone, either that or Facebook. My Facebook is Ashley AB Ranch Fogg FOGG. My cell phone number is 830-243-4233. If I don't answer a phone call, shoot me a text. I'm probably out in the field somewhere, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. I'm not a big email person. I'm not a big social media person. I'm on it a lot, posting pictures of animals we've got and the kids and things like that. But the best way to get a hold of me is honestly just to call me or shoot me a text.
Yes, I can see that, especially with how busy and active your lifestyle is. Ashley, it's been fantastic talking with you. I wanna say thank you for coming on and joining us with Women of the Wild. Do you have
It was
any?
my pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Do you have any final words or thoughts that you want to share with someone?
Don't be afraid, whether you're a female, a man, or you've got kids and they want to get outdoors. Call me, and we'll do everything we can to get them outside. It's something that we really got to push. I feel like we're losing this, and it's so important to everybody and to everything to get outdoors. They don't even have to hunt. I mean, if somebody wants to come with me and go fill feeders just to be outside and be out in the country, I can make that happen for people.
I love it. So now that nobody has an excuse, they have your phone number. They can find you at Ashley AB Fogg on Facebook, and any way, shape, or form that you want to get in the outdoors, this is your girl to do it with. And we want to thank you for joining us for the Women of the Wild podcast. Make sure that you are out there. We have our calendars who are showcasing women from all over the United States with their harvests. There's some kiddos in that calendar this year for the 2024 year, as well as our women's cookbook. So we have a wild game cookbook that is available on the website, and it is women all over the nation sharing their wild game recipes for you to not have an excuse not to try something. So thank you again for listening, and we will catch up with you next time.